everyone, and welcome back to our hands-on science demonstrations with Elgrow. So if this is your first time joining us, we are so happy that you're here and hope that you really enjoy what you learned and the activity that you can do at home today. And if you've been here with us for many weeks since March, we're so happy that you're still following along. If you are new and you want to see the archived videos, feel free to go check out the playlist on our Facebook page or on our YouTube channel or on our website, elgrow.org. So today we are doing an activity called Who Polluted the Grand River? And I want to give credit to this name, for the name to the activity, to the Wittenbach-Wege Agri-Science Center out in Lowell, because they do an activity every year called Who Polluted the Flat River? And the Flat River is a tributary to the Grand. And it helps us understand where pollution comes from in the watershed, and it helps us understand who pollutes the river and why, and then what you can do about it. So kudos to them for coming up with the name. It's also adapted from some activities that stormwater managers in other parts of the country, New York and New Jersey especially, have come up with. So there's lots of awesome activities out there on the internet to teach people about watersheds and water quality, and this is one that we've adapted from them that we like to use. So just a quick reminder, this is getting close to the end of the school year. We won't be producing 3 videos a week over the summer. We will be producing some things for you, but we'll let you know that schedule once we have it. But next week, the first week of June, our partner organization, the West Michigan Clean Air Coalition, is going to be giving us some stories and activities and crafts about clean air. And that's really important as we head into the summer, because we start to have to be aware of when we have a Clean Air Action Day to protect people who have respiratory issues and who are extra sensitive to that air pollution. So you'll learn more about air pollution next week. And this week, we're wrapping up our talking about watershed water quality pollution for now. So this activity is called Who Polluted the Grand River? It's very, very easy for you to follow along at home. So if you watch it today and then you want to do it later, you can do that, or you can probably run to your kitchen and grab some of these materials right now. So all I have here is a bowl of water. So you can use any size bowl of water. I just use this one because it's big. I just put a piece of white paper behind it so that you can see the color of the water as we go, but you don't have to do that. One of the reasons I like to use a bowl is because if you remember from our first demonstration, remember how a watershed is kind of like a bowl? Mm-hmm. Do you remember why it's like a bowl?
Because the water carves it out.
And what happens if I were to put a drop of water right here? Where would it go? It goes down in. Yeah, so watersheds are that area of land that drain down to a common body of water, just like the edges of a bowl do. So you have your bowl, you have it about half full of water, and then on top of the bowl, you can create, if you want, a pretend storm drain. So that's what I drew here. You can see, you can tell I used the back of a pizza box. I drew a little lawn on the top, I drew a sidewalk, I cut a hole out of the middle and tried to make it look like a storm drain. There's Evie in there. And then this is like a street down here. So that's just for a visual. And I covered it in saran wrap just so that it wouldn't get my board wet, but it's up to you. And then I'm gonna put this over the top. So what we're imagining here is that this is the surface of the land with a storm drain on it, and that this bowl of water down here, this water is the actual lakes, rivers, and streams that our stormwater system drains to. So in West Michigan, all of our communities have separated storm sewers. So if water goes down that drain in the street, it eventually goes straight to surface water. It doesn't get treated first. And so what we're seeing is as things go in this drain, we'll see what happens to the surface water. So we're pretending like this is the Grand River down here. And between this drain and the river, there's a bunch of pipes. So this is kind of part story, part demonstration. And so you can grab your bottle of water or your bowl of water, you can grab your piece of cardboard on top, or you can just pretend it's there. You don't actually have to have that, it just adds to the illusion. And then you have some items here that are gonna go along with a little story that I'm going to read to you about people who live in the watershed and what they're doing. So I have a piece of paper here and it's numbered 1 through 8. You need 8 items. One item is a little jar of colored water. I made it green. You can make it whatever color you want. One item is just a little bit of soil, sticks, leaves, stuff like that. You can just grab whatever is on the ground outside. I have a little thing of vegetable oil. I have a little pile of like shredded up paper, and you'll understand what all these things are as I read the story. I have number 5 is a little bit of grass that I pulled, grass clippings from outside. Number 6 is the hardest one. You'll have to get out your salt dough that you made maybe from your stormwater maze last week or Play-Doh or something, and I rolled it into these little logs or like little poop piles. You'll see that later. Number 7 is a bunch of little just like plastic trash. And then number 8 is another container of water, just a different color, whatever color you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the story, and as you follow along, I will tell you what to do with your different items. And Evelyn and Lydia are going to demonstrate for you how this goes. So the question is, who polluted the Grand River? Remember, this is the Grand River. And we sometimes think that water pollution comes from big factories and big companies, and sometimes it does. But it's true that water pollution comes from other places too, and that there's things that we can do about it to try to help keep our water clean. So think about that as you're hearing these little stories and you're following along with the activity, and see if you can think of some ways that some of this water pollution could be avoided. So I'm gonna have you guys do every other, okay? The first one I'm gonna have Evie do, and then Lydia, and then back and forth, okay? And I'll tell you which item to pick up and what to do. All right, so in this story, we have a woman whose name is Mrs. Howard. She has 2 small trees next to her porch. And these trees attract a lot of insects that she doesn't like bugs that will eat the flowers or wasps that she's afraid are going to sting her. And so she decided to spray her tree with chemicals to get rid of the insects. So she sprayed a lot of bugs, like bug killing spray on the tree. But right after she sprayed it, she forgot to check the weather report. And right after she sprayed it, they had a huge rainstorm. And from there, the chemicals all got washed off the tree onto the sidewalk, into the street. So Evelyn, could you please this is the chemicals from the tree that got washed off. This is the street. They got washed and they went into the drain. So just watch this, what happens. Oh, what happened?
It turned green.
It turned green. Oh, see what happens next. Just down the street from Mrs. Howard's house, there's a golf course. Anybody like to go golfing?
I do.
You like to go golfing?
Kind of.
Yeah? The golf course has a stream winding through it. It's very pretty and natural. And during a heavy rain, that stream is full of really heavy flowing water. So in some places, the sides of the stream, the edges of the stream are wearing away and roots are showing. Do you know what that's called?
Erosion.
It's called erosion. So the edges of the stream bank are eroding from really high water. And during and after each rain, you see soil, sand, leaves, pebbles, other sticks swept away with the heavy flow of the water, and the shores of the stream erode. Good job. So at every rainfall, that material is carried off of the stream bank, and sometimes it could be carried off of your yard if you didn't cover it up well enough, into this nearby storm drain.
In there.
Go ahead, Lydia. So she's gonna dump our sticks, leaves, dirt. Oh, and where did it end up?
The bottom.
Oh boy, okay.
Some of it floats though.
Susan is a child just like Evelyn who enjoys golfing.
Kind of.
And one day she came home from the golf course with her dad, and their car needed an oil change. And he said, you know what, Susan, I'm going to teach you how to change the oil. And so Susan helped her dad out. They changed the oil in that car, and the old oil that came out of the car was thick and black and yucky. This isn't black oil, but it is oil. And she was wondering what she should do with it. And so she looked around and she saw the sidewalk and she saw, oh, there's a drain in the ground. And so she walked over to that drain and she dumped all that used oil into the drain. It was gone. It was great. Happy for Susan. Susan has a friend named Betty. And Betty lives down the street, and at the end of the street where there's a little forest behind her house, and there's a bunch of raccoons that live by Betty's house. When we used to live right in downtown, we had neighbors who had a lot of raccoons that lived in their garage. It was tough to get them out of there. So one day the raccoons came out at night and they tipped over the garbage can, and the trash went everywhere, all over the street. But it was really late at night and it was winter and it was cold and nobody wanted to go outside in Betty's family to pick up the trash. And so they left it there. And it was a really wintry, snowy night, and all that trash got kind of melded into the snowbank. But in the spring, it melted. And that melt water carried all that trash on the street into the nearest storm drain. Lydia, could you pick up some of this paper from number 4? This is the trash. Why don't you show it just on the street to start. So if it was in a snow pile, kind of next to the drain here, it sat there all winter. But in spring, when that snow pile melted, that water didn't just stay there anymore. Everything that was in that snow pile melted into the drain. This is one of the reasons we encourage people to adopt a drain, because if you can keep that trash from going in the first place, it makes a big difference. All right, Betty's brother, Matthew, has a job where he mows people's lawns. He mows his own lawn, he mows his neighbor's lawn, and they pay him money to do it. But one of the things that they do is the neighbor whose lawn he mows doesn't like to have all the grass left on the ground. So he has one of those little bags on the back of his mower that catches all the grass as he mows the lawn. And at the end of the day, his grass catching bag is full, and he doesn't know what to do with it. And he looks around and he says, oh, look at that, there's a drain right there. So he takes his grass catching bag and he dumps it into the drain. All right. So you can maybe see with this nice background on here what's happening to this water down here. Let's see. Oh, we have 3 more things. Okay.
It's getting all dirty.
Well, Susan, in addition to helping her dad change the oil on her car, she also is in charge of walking the family dog, whose name is Sparkles. So they're walking Sparkles down the street one day, and Sparkles has to go number 2. And so he does, right on the sidewalk. Whose turn is it? Lydia? Is it your turn?
Yeah.
Can you take these little poops and can you put them on the sidewalk right here? The dog goes poop on the sidewalk, and she says, you know what, I don't have any bags with me, but it's okay because I'm going to leave it here, and when a big rain comes, it's just going to wash that into the drain, and then it's going to be gone. So walked into the drain, and then it was gone.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
Susan's family, Susan and Matthew and her parents, they went out to the beach one day in the summer, and they decided to get fast food on the way home because it was late and they were hungry, and so they were eating in the parking lot in their car. And there was no trash cans in that parking lot, so they didn't know what to do with all the garbage when they were done. So they thought, well, let's just leave it in the parking lot and the park workers will come pick it up. So they left all their trash on the parking lot here. But the workers didn't come pick it up because before that could happen, there was a big rain and a big windstorm, and all that trash blew into the nearest drain. Oh, good job being the wind. Good job. There's a lot of things happening in this story. So
I'm going to do this one.
you're going to do the last one. So the last part of this story is the lawn worker who takes care of the grass at the park decided or was told that he needed to treat all the grass for weeds because they wanted it to be a nice green soccer field, you know, with no weeds in it, just nice grass. And so he went out there one day, he didn't check the forecast first, and he treated the whole grass, the whole field, with weed killer. Oh, don't fight over that because that's going to... And he put the weed killer on the field, nice and thick. He couldn't read the instructions on the package because they were all smeared. So he just kind of did what he thought was enough. He thought more's probably good. He put it on there, but then when he went home, there was a big rainstorm, and all that extra weed killer on the field washed off. And this park has lots of storm drains right next to the grass, and so that weed killer all washed off into the storm drain. All right.
Oh, which one?
Is that supposed to be blue or green?
Just a slightly different color of green. So that's the end of our story. There's lots of other people who live in this town who helped contribute to this. Who polluted? So we look at the river here. Here, I'll take my lid off. You can see our river. This is all the stuff that ended up in it, and we'll kind of stir it around a little bit. What do you notice about this water?
It's all green and gross. And dirty.
How does it look different than it did when we started?
It's all dirty and it has trash in it.
It's dirty and has trash in it. So, who polluted this water?
Families. People.
Was it one person who did all the pollution?
No.
It was a lot of different people, right? If just one person dumped some grass in, would the water look like this?
Probably not.
Probably not. But if everybody dumps it in, it starts to look like this. And was this a result of a big factory or a big
No.
person polluting? No.
Just a family.
So it was a family, a couple of families, a neighborhood, a golf course. Why did they pollute the river?
Because they have nothing else to do with their stuff.
Were they dumping stuff down thinking, I hate the river, I want it to be gross?
No.
No. But did they know maybe what they were doing was having an impact?
No. Maybe not.
Maybe not. So sometimes people pollute without really meaning to. And it's not the big companies who are causing a lot of, although some of them are causing pollution, but a lot of what's wrong with our waterways today is something called non-point source pollution. And what that means is there's not one single source that's causing the pollution. You can't just point a finger and say, that one guy did all this nasty pollution to the river and he's got to clean it up. Sometimes that's the case, but most of the time it's not. Most of the time it's a combination of actions of people all across the watershed whose actions are combined into polluting this river. And usually they're doing it not on purpose. They're not trying to pollute the river. They don't want it to be gross. Most people want to have nice, clean water. And if they knew what they were doing, they might change their actions. And so what were some things that people could have done differently in this story to avoid causing this nasty pollution in the watershed?
Maybe when the raccoon dumped out their trash, maybe they just could go and get it.
So if a raccoon dumps over your trash can, you could go pick up all the trash. Don't just leave it there. What else could they do? What about the people who put the chemicals on their lawn and on their fruit tree? What could they have done differently, do you think?
They could have looked at the forecast before they did it and not do too much, just according to the instructions on the package.
Yeah, read the package instructions, look at the forecast, don't put chemicals on right before a big rain. And sometimes you can actually use a different product too, right? That's not as toxic to the environment. How about like the grass clippings and the oil? What could they have done different there?
Maybe they could just go home and put it in their trash can or something. Or like find a better way to dispose of it.
Yeah, what could we do? What do we do sometimes when we have like leaves and grass and stuff that we want to get rid of?
I don't know.
We throw it in the woods.
You could find a natural area, put it out there. You could put it in a compost pile. You could put it in a yard waste bin. Things like oil and household chemicals, you can take those to the recycling center and to the safe chemical pickup and get them disposed of safely. Yeah, a storm drain is never a garbage can. You should never dump anything down there. The only thing that should be in the drain is
water.
rain. Only rain in the drain. That's the story.
Rainwater.
Yep, rainwater in the drain. So what we found here is that this water was polluted by a lot of different people, and not on purpose, by usually by people not really knowing the correct way to handle things. And so our job here at ElGrow is to help people understand how water gets polluted, and also to help you understand what you can do as an individual person to help prevent water pollution. Because let's look at this now. We want to clean this river up. What could we do to clean this river up?
You could fish all the garbage out.
Okay, how are we going to get the oil out?
I don't know.
And the chemicals. Yeah, it's a lot harder to clean up water than it is to keep it clean in the first place. So pollution prevention is very, very important. That's what we're trying to help you learn. And if you go to our website, elgrow.org/pollution solutions, you can learn some of the ways that you as an individual can help protect water quality. All right. I hope you enjoyed that demonstration. It's a really simple, really easy way to visualize what goes on and how our water gets polluted. And, oh, my daughter came in to make an appearance here. And you can do it with whatever you find around your house, and it doesn't have to be fancy. So I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to follow along anytime or to come by and try some of our other demonstrations again if you missed them in the first place. So come back and join us again on Friday for our watershed craft, and we hope you're having a great, beautiful, sunny, warm day today. We'll see you all again very soon.